Jordan. Today's video is going to be my top 10 thriller recommendations. I'm not going to do them in any particular order. I'm just going to kind of show you 10 thrillers that I really liked and that I recommend, especially if you're like new to thrillers. I feel like these are all really fast-paced reads, really easy to get into. I feel like most of them aren't too scary. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and keep watching this video and let's get started with the thriller recommendations. All right, so my first recommendation for this video is going to be Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. I'm really not going to go into detail about what these books are about, especially with thrillers. I feel like it's best to go in blind, and if you want to know what they're about, I would recommend just looking up the synopsis. But this one is like a family drama. It does deal with someone getting kidnapped. So if that's your vibe, I would definitely recommend this one. I feel like it's not too scary and it's definitely really easy writing. I recommend this one to a lot of my friends who are just starting with thrillers, and I really like Lisa Jewell's writing. Honestly, I would recommend like any of her books, but I feel like Then She Was Gone is a good starter. Next is The Therapist by B.A. Paris. This one is like a couples thriller. Like it's about a husband and wife, and one of them is a therapist. So that's kind of the gist. Again, don't want to get into too much detail. It's more of like a mystery suspense. I wouldn't say it's like super thrillery. Again, not too scary, at least in my opinion, and I feel like this is another really good starter thriller. Next up is A Flicker in the Dark by Stacy Willingham. This was her debut novel and I freaking love this book, one of my all-time favorite thrillers. This one is about the daughter of a serial killer. Basically, it's about her as an adult, and some murders start happening again that are very similar to her dad's, so they're just trying to figure out what's going on. Another kind of mystery. This one is definitely a little bit more of a thriller though. It's a little bit darker. I do think it's a good beginner thriller though, and it's really fast paced. Next up is Final Girls by Riley Sager. This one caught me off guard. I was not expecting to love it as much as I did. I do love Riley Sager. It's just very different for me. It's more like a slasher film. Basically, if you like slasher movies, I would highly recommend reading this book. It's about some final girls, and they are all final girls from different scenarios, and they all end up meeting. So that's all I'm going to say about this one. I will say that Final Girls is a little bit more on the gory side, so if you don't like that or you're sensitive to that, I may not recommend that one for you. Next up is Local Woman Missing by Mary Kubica. This one is another like kind of kidnapping, people disappearing type of book. It definitely starts out with a bang, very fast paced. The twist caught me way off guard. Honestly, I don't think this one is too dark, at least from what I remember. So if you're like really scared to read a thriller or anything, I feel like this is a pretty good intro. Next up is one of my all-time favorite thrillers, which is No Exit by Taylor Adams. This one is a little bit more on the gory side. So again, if you're not into that or you're sensitive to anything like that, maybe hold off on it. This one takes place over the course of one night. A girl's trying to get home and she has to stop at a rest stop, and the story just takes place there overnight. Again, this one I think you should go in blind to, so I don't want to give any more information about it. Feel free to read the synopsis if you'd like. But really highly recommend going in blind. This one is so good. One of my top thrillers of all time. So fast paced. Next we have Don't Look for Me by Wendy Walker. This is another one of my all-time favorite thrillers. I also have this one signed, which is super exciting because I love it so much. I literally randomly picked this one up on Libby and read it and then became obsessed, so I had to get a physical copy. Wendy Walker actually sent this one to me, which was really sweet of her. This one is about a woman who disappears and everyone thinks she ran away, so you find out what actually happened to her. Next up is Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. This one is a thriller with a snowy, isolated setting, which is one of my absolute favorite settings for a thriller. It's about a husband and wife who are kind of in a rocky marriage, and so they go to an isolated, like, it's not a cabin, it's like a chapel. It's like an abandoned chapel that's been like turned into an Airbnb or whatever. So they go there to kind of like reconcile their marriage. and weird things start happening. So that's all I'm going to say about this one. The last two books I'm going to talk about are by the same author. I actually read these both on Kindle Unlimited. I don't own either of them yet, but these are both by one of my new favorite authors, which is Freida McFadden. I was actually thinking about doing kind of like a guide to Freida McFadden once I've finished her backlist, if that's something you guys would be interested in. But she's become one of my all-time favorite thriller authors. Her books are so fast-paced. I read them in like 2 to 3 sittings, maybe 1 depending on how much time I have. The first one I'm going to talk about by her is The Housemaid. Housemaid is about a girl who takes the housemaid position for a family. That's all I really want to say about this book. I know that's not a lot, but honestly I feel like this book is one to go in blind to. The twist blew my mind. The whole second half of the book I was just like reading so fast, needing to know what happened. It does start out like a tiny bit slow just at the very beginning as it's kind of introducing everything, but it does pick up really quickly, and I would highly recommend this one. And then the next book by Freida McFadden is going to be Never Lie. This one is kind of similar to Rock Paper Scissors in a way. It's a husband and wife who take a trip in the snow to an isolated house. This time it's a house that they are potentially thinking about buying, but when they get there they get snowed in and weird things start happening. Another one where the twist absolutely blew my mind. It was so fast paced, and another one that I really recommend to my friends who are just kind of getting into thrillers. They tend to really like this one, and I feel like it's a really good intro to Freida McFadden's writing. Okay, so that was all of the recommendations for this video. That was 10 books. I believe I rated them all 5 stars. The Therapist I may have rated 4 stars, but really good. All of these are really easy if you're just getting into reading or just getting into thrillers. If you do want me to start giving more information on books, let me know and I'd be happy to do so. I just know a lot of people like to go in blind to books, and I don't want to give information that people aren't wanting, so I try to keep it as minimal as possible while still giving an explanation of what the books are about. Anyway, I hope you guys liked this video. Feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!